Hello everybody, it's me, Bumleo, just popping in real quick before the video starts. I hope I'm not quite as ugly as you remember me being. Just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for all of you, and I hope you've had a great year I hope you had a great new year, is basically what I'm trying to say. I wish you the best of luck, and I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for my friends who watch these videos, and for all the people who just genuinely enjoy them. Thank you so much. Before we start the video, I wanted to say this video dives into serious topics, so there's a warning beforehand. If you're uncomfortable with graphic imagery, death, or jump scares of any kind, maybe don't watch this video. The most important thing to me is that you're happy and healthy, and if that means not watching this video, so be it. But that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll enjoy the video as much as I enjoy making it. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Deep Dive Hive. Another day, another deep dive into the Walten files. Seriously, I love making these videos, and I freaking love the Walten files. But before we begin today's video, what? Sponsor? Are you crazy? No, I have like 30 subscribers. Any company would be mental to sponsor me. It only hurts a little bit. No, I'm talking about shoutouts. Two channels I have to shout out because of their influence on this series are Martin Walls, but seriously, if you haven't seen any of his videos yet, please watch them. They are more than worth your time. And PredictedCyborg. They make insanely good analysis videos, not only on the Walten files, but other analog horror series as well, such as Little Reds, another horror/ARG series on YouTube. They provided me with hours of entertainment, and I'd be a fool not to call them out for their great content. They've been a true inspiration. Lastly, watch my part 1 video on the Walten files if you haven't already, otherwise you might miss out on some information that's crucial to the plotline of the whole series. Now, without further ado, welcome to the Deep Dive Hive. Let's start with a summary of the second installment of the Walten files, Relocate project. This is not scripted, by the way, but this is going to be a very long episode, so buckle up. The video starts off with a tape created in 07/02/1978 that shows a cute rendition of the Bond character, and Bunny Smiles Incorporated appears on the screen. At the bottom of the screen it says, accompanied by Cyberfun Tech 1970 blank, indeed confirming that Bunny Smiles works, at least to some degree, for Cyberfun Tech. For a single frame, a part of a YouTube link can be seen in the top right of the screen. This will be important later. Hint, you can use the comma and period keys on YouTube to go back one frame or proceed one frame. The video continues showing a visual that says, Bunny Smiles, accompanied by Cyberfun Tech 1978. Strange how it was blanked out before, but now it's visible? Anyway, a voice explains that after 4 long years, the Bunny Smiles brand reintroduced themselves to the public through their backup plan named Relocate Project. Well, that's the title of the video, dude. Made by Felix Kranken, of all people, in 1975. However, in the same visual we can see 3 more files in the box it's in. Storage K9 from 07/23/1975, and Bond's Burgers from 06/28/1974. We can also see that Jack's and Felix's signature are surprisingly similar. And because we know Jack went missing in 06/11/1974, or approximately 17 days before he signed that document, we know that Felix forged Jack's signature. A theory proven correct by Martin himself when brought up by PredictedCyborg. Thank you both. There is also a file that has been censored and therefore impossible to figure out. The box itself says something that's cut off by the lower end of the screen, but it says Jack's CTV, STV, I can't quite make it out. There's also a visual of a security worker loading a Billy animatronic into a truck, with Felix overviewing the whole process, and the truck driven by what seems to be crude pixel art depiction of Jack, driving it to the right end of the screen. Next is a shot depicting that, even after the restaurant closed in 1974, they still made content with the characters, which we could assume from the cartoon in video 1. But hold up! Not only that, but a box titled The Disappearance of Jack Walten on VHS can be seen, as well as the epic funny movie Bond got for a super sleepover in the cartoon. Huh. The new restaurant by Seoul founder Felix has been set to open in 1982. The video proceeds by saying this incredible project was made possible by the illustrious Felix, a man with not only a giant brain, but also a giant heart. Yep. The man represented here as the background music cuts off is an eerily grinning Jack Walton, who has been suspiciously scrubbed away from the company's image. Tape 2 starts, made in 08/13/1978, named Reprogramming Phase. Facial expressions. The video fades from the black background into the face of an animatronic Banny, who hasn't gotten much screen time up until this point. But what's this? She was already looking at the camera and suddenly closed her eyes when the lights were shining. Strange behavior for a totally normal animatronic. This model was created in 1974, and the results should be the same for all other models, the text explains. Everything goes quite smoothly until the music becomes much louder and cuts off at the phrase, "looking for friends" or customers. The background fades to black and we see a humanoid supposedly inside the animatronic head, which smiles eerily when she looks at us. Then it shows a cartoony Banny in a square room with 4 open doors that all lead back to the square room somehow. A voiceover says, "The mighty rabbit tries to find a way out of the cage but is unsuccessful. The rabbit must find a way out and catch the owner's attention. The mighty rabbit must get out. The rabbit needs to get out. The rabbit is starving. The rabbit is starving. The rabbit is starving." The Banny animatronic seems to have given up on escaping and proceeds to cry while staring at the screen. We see the footage of what people have found out to be the Dust Bowl rabbit culling, an infestation of rabbits who would eat crops and are now herded by farmers to then be beaten to death. Are we having fun yet? No? Well, a withered animatronic Banny appears in front of the footage to rub it all just in a little bit more before staring at the screen on a dark background with empty eyes fading out. Then, suddenly we see a purple bunny in a cage suspended from above, crying black streaks. Then a seemingly black background with... Hold up, let me brighten the image. It's a... Well, I can still not see it very clearly, but it is a missing poster. Yep, brightening the image gives us a clearer missing poster of a woman called Susan Woodings, who went missing in 1974, and her face looks a suspicious lot like the person in Banny. Tape 3 starts. Created in 07/09/1978. It's supposed to be a technical support tape created by Shaw the Sheep, who will be giving us a tour of the K9 bunker. And absolutely no nightmares. Not a single one. The Bunny Smiles uniform is a purple outfit and hat, like the ones worn by Sophie and... Oh yeah! Him! Oh no! Furthermore, we will be needing a backpack harboring a lantern, snacks, a key, a camera, and most importantly, Jack Walton's black and white head. Anyway, Shah asks us to turn on the light, but, you know, no one has pointed this out, to my knowledge, but she sounds more desperate and pleading every time she says, "turn on the light," like she's getting really panicked all of a sudden. I don't think anybody has mentioned this, but the first one sounds like pretty collected, but it gets more and more desperate as time goes on, like as she asks it more. It might be nothing, but to me it seems significant. Shah shows us the resting room and says that you need to keep tracks of which room you enter, as this place can be really tricky and you can get lost easily. Like a mighty rabbit who needed to get out? Nah, that's probably just going. She says to keep this area clean to make work go more smoothly. Makes sense. If I saw a bunker in a forest littered with human remains and blood, I'd probably also waste precious working hours on throwing up and trying to get the hell out of there. Shah leaves the room, but before the room fades to black, we see a mysterious silhouetted figure dubbed by fans as the Shadow Man. Shah introduces the main hall of the place, where there are 3 doors for storage areas. One is used for cleaning items and supplies, the second is used to save all kinds of merchandise and prizes from the original restaurant, along with a card or booklet saying "Take care," sporting the gray rabbit figure from the first video. The third door houses what I can only assume to be childhood traumas for Sha, because she immediately freezes with empty eyes and a big ol' frown before cutting to the next part, where in slight darkness she blurts out in reverse, and this is what it says if you reverse it back to the original audio. Rosemary would go to the restaurant every night, hoping that her beloved husband would reappear after being missing for weeks, but no response, until one day she heard a voice saying, "I know where he is, Rosie," coming from the backstage. Thank you, John Adams, for the comment. And thank you, Sha. This info will help me understand K9 much better. She then returns to her normal, oppressed self to explain that this is an area which houses more important props like stages and tables. She asks if we will follow her to the next door, but that harlot just fucking yeets off into the great nothing, and the screen cuts off to an image of a pristine Bon and Sha duo on stage before cutting to the next room. An animatronic storage room where we must refrain from touching or shining lights at the robots. Strange detail. Sha says this in a deeper voice as well, which, carries more meaning in my opinion. She goes to the next room, which is the last room, where Sha starts to cry, and the voiceover says, "How odd, I remember we visited this room already." But her mouth doesn't move, as if she is not the one saying it. But the Shadow Man is standing at the bottom of the room, where Sha promptly walks towards, only to distort more and cry more as well. She warps back to the same room again? Oh no, wait! No, the poster changed. It now depicts a woman. Sha says, "Sophie, where am I?" creating more confusion, and she glitches from Sha into the woman on the poster multiple times, while saying Sophie multiple times in reverse, until we see the woman with streaks of tears on her cheeks. A voice says, "By the time the lady entered the backstage, 'cause the voice told her to, the missing husband wasn't there. Instead, she found the rabbit." We see a smiling Bon animatronic with human-looking teeth. The animatronic says, "Rose broken. We'll fix you. You are beautiful. You are beautiful." The "you are beautiful" could also be "you will beautiful," but I digress. We see the woman now severed into multiple body parts, her eyes torn out and her mouth bloodied. We then see a happy blood-covered Bon animatronic taking Rose's pieces and putting them inside the Sha animatronic. The lights turn on and we see the same Shadow Man is now standing in the doorway that says, "Employees only." The Bon character is crying streaks of black, and both him and the Sha animatronic are covered in blood. In the distorted audio we hear something that resembles a strange, jerky laugh. The video cuts to a broken Sha animatronic who says, "When she woke up, she was beautiful. But on the inside, it felt like every single part of her body was bleeding." Sha morphs into a bloodied version of herself, now twitching and struggling. She vanishes and we see another missing poster. The picture is the same of the lady on the poster that we saw earlier, but the names are difficult to figure out. However, we know that the person here depicted is called Rosemary Walten. Yep, the very same Walten like Jack Walten. The next tape begins to play. Tape 4. Strangely, the subtitles say that the date is unknown, but the tape itself starts with, "The following footage was recorded during July 1978, 0712 to 0714, or 2 days, on which 3 Bunny Smiles technicians volunteered to stay 3 days in the BSI storage facility, or K9, for the purpose of reprogramming the animatronics in order to execute the relocate project." It's a bit strange, but I'll discuss that later. The video starts with showing the 3 employees, Hillary B, Ashley P, and Kevin W. They seem like a fairly intimate group, maybe even friends. They set out to restore the Bonds Burgers animatronics from 1974. The live footage video cuts into a conversation that was already going on, when Hillary says, "The place itself was opened during a short period of time on which a certain number of cases occurred around the area. There were complaints from people that lived near the restaurant about the place playing loud music during midnight at like 2 or 3 in the morning, along with the lights being on, which was weird because back then the company didn't really worry about hiring night guards. But yeah, the place closed after people reported hearing screams of an adult woman inside the restaurant, presumably Rosemary. She goes on to explain that some hours after that incident, the restaurant closed. But interestingly, they had a last day after the incident where they only let 1 or 2 families in. Maybe family members of victims? Maybe suspects to be interrogated by authorities. This is just speculation on my part, but I think it's interesting to think about. The animatronics were absent and the curtains were closed. Kevin then, sorta out of the blue, says that this forest reminds him of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hey, thanks Kevin for lightening the mood, dude. I really appreciate it. The footage cuts to animatronic testing. They seem to be very broken, but Kevin says that they should look as new as possible. They move on to the Bond animatronic, whose eye sockets are badly damaged. As if intentionally. Weird. Ashley mentions that the holes and damage to the suits were likely made by cyberfun tech people who noticed a good amount of irregularities in the animatronics and took them to revise shortly after the restaurant closed down. Again, cyberfun tech is mentioned, but we know awfully little about them. At least there's this info. You know, that's good, I suppose. The video cuts again to a picture of 3 sleeping bags, and sure enough, they sleep in the facility. Ashley mentions a strange key that the company gave them, but they didn't tell them anything about it. Strangely, nothing bad happens to them while they sleep in the bunker. The next day, they announced that they were unsuccessful. The endoskeletons were damaged too badly to program the new features or to fix old issues. They only had 2 days, so I suppose it's understandable, but Kevin sure is snarky. Hillary agrees and hopes they can return with better equipment and more time. That seems fair. This, Kevin announces, is the end of the reprogramming phase for the relocate project. Ashley, however, has different plans. She decides to take the mystery key and snoop around the place. Of course, at night, and of course, alone. The others are asleep and she thinks this key could save the project. We learn that the others dissuaded her from wandering around at night and... Oh, Ashley, say hi to Brian for me. The key leads to an area called the Backdoors, which Ashley seemed to think is a small area where she hopes to find something interesting. The area, of course, isn't small, and there are a lot of doors on each side labeled from what we can see with numbers 1 through at least 12. She says she will quickly scan random doors. Okie dokie, Ashley. Good luck, have fun, don't look, and run. That's my advice. The first room seems to hold some endoskeletons, a blanket covering something labeled scrapped, and a shipping box to K9. The door was already open according to Ashley, which is strange, but nothing interesting seems to be here, and she moves on to another door. She goes through door number 26 or 27, confirming that there were indeed more doors. There are spare animatronic heads, but nothing that interesting according to Ashley. However, she is obviously scared because she shakes the torch an awful lot and seems to be spooked by something as we hear metallic thumping and the footage cuts to a gray rabbit. Ashley can't really tell if it's a robot or a puppet, which is strange, but it's also suspended on the wall for some reason. Looking at the rabbit's face causes the footage to corrupt a little before going to everyone's favorite, Billy. Yes, a creepy clown animatronic. I'm going to need a bucket because I am going to throw. Ashley says this was the last door and she remarks the clown is really creepy and she is not going anywhere near it. She then finds a cassette tape somewhere with the date 06/11/70 blank. It looks like a 2, but we can't be sure, and it's labeled discard. There's also a picture of the showstoppers with the date June 28 on it. She remarks that the Billy animatronic had a cassette player, and thank you, Ashley, your patronage shall be heralded by us theorists, and your death shan't be in vain. So yeah, she pops the forbidden mixtape into the belly of the beast and starts singing a glitched happy birthday song before cutting to a list of names that say Jack, Susan, Charles, Rosemary, Sophie. And then once more, Sophie in reverse. Ashley hears something and breathes heavily. Strangely, we hear someone else's breathing too, almost painfully. She turns on her torch and, "Oh, hello, friend!" We then see a picture of the 3 employees. Everyone except Ashley is blacked out and her smile turned upside down into a frown. We hear distant screams and the picture of Ashley begins to distort into a broken, bloody mess. The music that plays is an organ version of the song "The Sun Has Got His Hat On" by Ambrose and his orchestra, a song that the Showstoppers also played in video 1. During the screams, we hear laughter, if you listen closely. I'm not kidding, that is stomach twisting. We see a close-up of Billy's face. It begins to speak. "Hello, I am Billy, the unintelligible clown. Can I sing you a song?" Then in reverse, he says, "The blank which it blank spoke with knowledge, but never with confidence." Thank you, PredictedCyborg, for playing it backwards. I still don't know what it means, but it might be a Bible verse? It seems to be structured as one. Anyway, Bond takes the faceplate off of Billy to reveal Ashley, who's seen better days. Or she would, if she still had eyes. Face sags, and for 2 frames a story is overlaid on the screen which reads, "They left the next day. They thought Ashley left early, but she was in the back doors, screaming as much as she could, but no one heard the screams. The following days, caretakers could complain about an awful smell coming from the back doors. The company decided to shut down the facility, until a new advice, the relocate project, was unsuccessful. Ashley is still there, but she's not screaming anymore. She saw something she wasn't supposed to see, and now she's beautiful. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. And so forth." Then the second part of the YouTube link pops in the bottom left of the screen. Credits roll. Something interesting that's in the subtitles there is a person listed as Bond's voice? But he never speaks. It could reference the laughter we hear whenever he kills somebody. They thank us for supporting Bunny Smiles Incorporated. I ain't supporting anybody until you show me your body count, you faceless corporation demon. Then we hear Billy's TTS voice, text-to-speech voice, say, "Shadow Man sees me when lights go off." Not Shadow Man feeds me, Matthew Patrick. Sorry, I'm not here to throw shade at MatPat from Game Theory, but god damn, that was a pivotal mistake in your theory, and you just makes me mad, dude. That concludes the second video. Alright, okay. Fuck. Hot damn! If lore is like a fruit, then this video was a goddamn 3-course fruit salad. Okay, so, to recap. In 1978, Felix Kranken, co-founder of Bunny Smiles, initiated the Relocate project, meant to revive the Bonds Burgers brand and restaurant. This, however, was unsuccessful, as we may conclude from the slab of text at the end of the video. We see a Banny animatronic showing some suspicious, to say the least, behavior, along with backstory and the name of the victim, supposedly who is now residing in Banny. Susan Woodings, missing since 1974. Then we are given a tour of the K9 bunker by Shah, who coincidentally happens to also be the second victim of this video. She was lured into a backstage area because she was looking for her missing husband. A mysterious voice said that they knew where he was, and they call her Rosie, which is something that's interesting and worth pointing out because it's like a nickname. Upon entering the area, she found a bloodthirsty Bond instead, who ripped her into pieces, promising her to make her beautiful and then shoving her inside of the Shah animatronic. She woke up, though brutally murdered and torn apart, reinforcing my thought that they are still alive, at least to some degree, or perhaps just unable to move and stuck in the robots. That's more likely. Anyway, her name is Rosemary Walten. We assume this to be the wife of Jack Walton, who went missing first. The next video is footage from 1978 0712 to 0714, or the span of 2 days. In this video, we get a little introduction to the physical form of a character we've met in the first video, the Grey Rabbit. I have a lot to say about this character, but because the next video in the Walten files explores this character way more, I will keep it brief. It is an interesting character of unknown proportions with some kind of suspicious aura around it, namely the camera glitching when it's pointed at it. We assume for now that the character is smaller because Ashley states that she isn't sure if it's a puppet, doll, or animatronic, and it's suspended on a wall inside of the K9 bunker. It also seems to have a metallic casing or endoskeleton supporting the idea that it in fact may be an animatronic. Furthermore, Ashley. Ashley is a young female adult. Ashley is a young female adult. I should really read the script when I'm speaking.
Young woman?
Young woman. Female adult.
Is it a human female?
She's a young human female adult. I'm actually doing that now. Ashley is a young human. Ashley is a young human female adult working for Bunny Smiles Incorporated with her two colleagues, Hillary and Kevin. They are in charge of prepping the animatronics for the relocate project. An attempt that results in failure as they had too little time and too little resources. Ashley is given a small key by the company with no explanation. The key leads to the back doors. In the back doors, she finds the Grey Rabbit and Nightmare Fuel's incarnate, Billy. Billy gives us a list of names. Jack Walten, most likely. Susan Woodings. The person inside of Banny, or at least the person who was inside of Banny. Charles. We still have very little information on Charles, even with the third video. Rosemary Walten, wife of Jack, ripped apart and shoved into the Shaw animatronic. Lastly, Sophie Walten, as introduced with the secret video Lucky You, and sort of also in the first video, which we find with the complete URL hidden in this video. Daughter of Jack and Rosemary. Ashley is treated to a slow and painful death, only to be shoved into the Billy animatronic afterwards. The mystery of what Billy says still haunts me to this very day. I am so close. The blank which it blank spoke with knowledge, but never with confidence. Like I mentioned before, it sounds like a Bible quote, but I can't find which one, and I have scoured the internet for hours, but nothing came up. There's something I'm missing. Anyhow, this concludes the facts. Now, what's my theory? My theory is that at some point in 1974, likely in the latter part of the year, Jack Walten went missing, but more importantly, went crazy. This theory is slightly more solidified by the fact we always see him depicted with this crazy, absent-minded smile and his inability to speak properly. Furthermore, I think, like most people in the community, that he inhabits the Bon animatronic. This also lends credence to the crazy theory, as the Bon animatronic laughs evilly whenever he brutally and slowly kills someone. We heard this laughter in the background of Ashley's brutal murder and when the Shaw animatronic is being stuffed in Rosemary. Another interesting thing I noticed is how light affects the Bon animatronic. Whenever Bon is in a lit space with a white background, it has the tendency to cry black streaks of liquid. Whenever it's in the dark or a black background, it seems to be smiling. Also, the Bon animatronic only launches its lethal assault when a torch is being shone upon it by both Ashley and Brian. Furthermore, in the Shaw segment, Shaw mentions to refrain from shining lights at the animatronics. There is definitely an inbuilt light sensitivity in the animatronics, which is strange. What purpose would that serve for a restaurant entertainment animatronic? This brings me to the most underexplained but most intriguing detail of the series in my opinion. Bunny Smiles Incorporated. which we know a good bit about, and Cyberfun Tech, which we know very little about. Who are they? What's their agenda? What role do they play? And most importantly, what have they done? We suspect that because they took the animatronics in for inspection shortly after the restaurant closed and shortly before they were shipped to the K9 bunker, that Cyberfun Tech took the human remains out of the animatronics, and that's why the suits and endoskeletons are so damaged. Because Ashley, Brian, and Hillary would have surely seen or at least smelt the rotting human remains. Furthermore, Brian from the first video does mention a horrendous smell, which I think, and many other people of the community, that is the smell of Ashley's corpse in the back rooms decomposing, because the animatronics were probably not taken in by Cyberfun Tech after the first murders. So Cyberfun Tech cleaned out most of the animatronics except Billy, because that happened afterwards. Why? Are they covering something up? But what? And why? Also, Bon was cleaned out, but he is still showing more human behaviors. Possessed by Jack? Possibly. Could it be that a human consciousness can be transferred to an animatronic, becoming immortal? Perhaps even beautiful? Oh, the secret unlisted video mentioned before is also really interesting. Let me explain it real quick, because it's actually very pivotal to the theory. Lucky You starts with a spoken narrative and then changes to a written narrative. However, it starts with solidifying dates through visuals. Bond's Burger's opening day was on 06/28/1974, or the 28th of June. The first birthday party took place 2 days later on 06/30/1974. The last shows before closure were in the time span of 9 days, from 07/10/1974 to 07/19/1974, showing a pristine Bond animatronic. They closed on the 20th of the same month, thanking the watcher for the smiles. The restaurant was open for little under a month. Weird. The spoken narrative then says, "You must be so confused about what you saw. Don't be scared, my little bunny. Answers will be given eventually, but don't try to solve this puzzle only with the pieces you have so far. This is only the beginning, for I'm going to tell you a story of broken people. Beautiful people. He is so sorry about what he did to them, but there's nothing he can do. Remember that. Safety in pills, Sophie. Safety in pills, Sophie. Safety in pills, Sophie." Then the written narrative with a very loud version of the song Heartache plays. "Oh, can't you see? I made them beautiful. I don't know how, but I did. I didn't even mean to. They tried to talk to us through analog, and they will be heard. This is their cry for help. Besides, they want us to know what happened that year, but we must be patient. Look, they are filled with life. They dance to the music. They laugh and sing along. They are perfect. They are beautiful. And they will see you soon, Sophie." The video ends with creepy, upbeat music. There are also websites created by Martin, you wonderful and delightfully evil man, like www.findjackwalten.com, all lowercase, just one word, and www.findjackwalten.com/Rosemary Walton, www.findjackwalten.com/Sophie Walton, the latter of which reveals that Jack had anger issues. Dude, oh, it's so cool, but it's so weird, and it doesn't tell us anything. I mean, it does. It tells us a whole lot, but not a whole lot that we can piece together logically. I mean, kind of, but it's all just speculation. It's still mystery. It's like we're so tantalizingly close, but just barely not there yet. And then he throws a friggin' curveball, which throws everything else in the wind. It's really cool, and it's really weird, and it's super intriguing, at least for me. The Bond animatronic, or whomever is inside, makes people beautiful by putting them in animatronics where they can live on in an immortal, beautiful, and perfect state, ceaseless suffering notwithstanding. This goes deep. There was also the website findjackwalten.com/rocketdoll, but this website is taken down because the URL doesn't work anymore. The Wayback Machine doesn't help either, sadly. I know admittedly little, but I feel that Cyberfun Tech is doing something shady behind the scenes. I'm just a little bit drunk, don't mind me. Anyway, next time we will be discussing the Walten Files 3 Bunny Farm, so stay tuned for that. That one is insanely good, and it tells us an insane amount of information. The video is also an hour long, and it's well worth the watch, but that would make my video extremely long. Let me know in the comments below whether you would like a long summary and a long video subsequently, possibly chopped in multiple parts, or a more theory-heavy, shorter episode where I assumed you've just watched the video yourself, so it has a much shorter summary. Thank you again for watching this video. Links to PredictedCyborg and, of course, Martin Walls are in the description. Take care of yourselves, I love you, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Be there or take care. Bye bye.